Thank you so much for taking the time out today to talk with us, Professor Seo Kyoung-duk.
네, 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Well, we have August 15th, that's Independence Day here in Korea. In fact, 67 years have passed since Korea became independent from Japan. Now, there are still some issues, though, between the two countries, aren't there?
There are many unresolved bilateral issues. Among them, the most important would have to be the disputes over Dokdo and comfort women. As we celebrate Independence Day this year, we ought to be more proactive and think of ways to try to resolve these disputes in the near future.
I think you really pinpointed two of the most sensitive issues. Now let's talk a little bit about Dokdo, the Dokdo Islets. Where do things stand now between Korea and Japan?
From geographical, historical, and international legal perspectives, Dokdo Islets are our territory. But Japan's right-wing groups, among others, keep arguing for political purposes that the islets are theirs. Given this, we need to stay focused on issues related to Dokdo Islets, protect them as ours, and sustain them as such for generations to come.
You just said very clearly, Korea does have claim over Dokdo, the Dokdo Islets. What are some, pieces of evidence that support this?
There's plenty of evidence. Historically speaking, 울릉도 and Dokdo are marked as Korean islands in 세종실록 지리지. In terms of geography, the best example is the Dokdo is 90 kilometers away from our Ulungdo. Japan laid claim to the islets even though its nearest territory, Oki Islands, are 160 kilometers away. Their argument itself is fallacious. So from basic geographical and historical viewpoints, Dokdo Islets are ours. What's more, many of the old Japanese maps show Dokdo as Korean territory.
So a lot of evidence, even distance, it seems that it's on Korea's side in terms of territorial claims. But why does Japan insist on calling the Dokdo Islets Takeshima? And also, what is the reasons for their territorial claims over them?
Among many key reasons, Dokdo Islets sit on natural gas hydrate deposits. So it's seen as their effort to secure the natural resource of the future. Making the irrational claims are those in the right-wing groups who haven't been able to let go of pre-World War II Japan's militarism. So it's important that we alert the world of the Japanese government's misconduct and win over global consensus.
Now, Professor Seo, you've been working on, like you mentioned, sharing Korea with the world, a lot of international campaigns ever since 1996. And even hearing you speak about Dokdo, clearly you know your stuff about the islets and about the history. Would you say most of your efforts was concentrated on this Dokdo Islets controversy?
We've pursued many projects aimed at promoting Korea's culture and history. We've addressed issues such as Dokdo, Comfort Women, the Northeast Project on Goguryeo controversy, Hanshik, Hangul, and Arirang by taking out ads in global media giants including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post. We've also aired advertisements at the world's busiest landmarks such as New York's Times Square and London's Piccadilly Circus.
Right. I have to mention a name. When it comes to Dokdo, a lot of Koreans think of singer Kim Jang-hoon. You've also worked together on some campaigns with him as well.
I first met Kim Jang-hoon 4 years ago. We met through the first documentary film on Dokdo titled Sorry Dokdo, which we produced. I was actually in charge of the production. I asked Kim Jang-hoon to narrate the film, which he gladly accepted, and that's how we became friends. We knew about our work through the New York Times, and after we became close, he offered to finance our ad campaigns. I willingly accepted whatever he was willing to give.
With open arms. Well, working with Kim Jang-hoon, targeting some of the biggest publications and media sources in the world, were there any maybe problems or interesting experiences or episodes that took place?
2년 전이죠.
It was 2 years ago. We were waiting to make our March 1st video ad campaign debut at Times Square in New York.
영상 광고를 처음으로 올릴 때를 기다리고 있었습니다. 이미 벌써 저희는
We had paid all costs and finalized all paperwork. We were waiting for our video to go on air when we got a call from the billboard management company. Apparently, the Japanese consulate had kept calling them to ask who was behind the advertisement. So the billboard company wanted to know about the nature of the advertisement, which had Japanese government calling. That triggered a bit of behind-the-scenes wrangling involving myself, the billboard management company, and the Japanese consulate. As a result, the airing of our ad campaign was postponed by a day. There was a delay, but our work was legitimate and we aired what we had to. So, there weren't any real problems.
Hawaii. This is part of America. Sicilia. This is part of Italy. Bali. This is part of Indonesia. Dokdo. This is part of Korea. Visit Dokdo, the beautiful island of Korea.
You've been working very hard along with many other people campaigning. Would you say there's a significant difference you've seen in terms of the international viewpoint of Dokdo throughout your time?
Yes, indeed. We are reaping the benefits of the Dokdo ads. In fact, more than we had expected. For instance, when the New York Times carried our Dokdo video ads, we received requests for interviews from various global agencies such as BBC. Interviews are great means to setting the record straight about Dokdo for worldwide audiences. We've also had a professor of history at Columbia University in New York calling for documents on Dokdo because he wanted to discuss them with his graduate students. Should this continue, say, if graduate students in other nations were able to underscore Dokdo as Korean territory in their thesis, we would be able to further raise global awareness. And so we are pressing on with our PR work.
Just as Dokdo is sensitive, another very big issue is the sea. Is it Isi? Is it Sea of Japan? Would you say we are seeing some changes regarding the international community and what the name that they're using for that body of water?
In the past, even just 3 years ago, around 90% of the world's major map publishers labeled the sea between Korea and Japan as Sea of Japan. But thanks to efforts, not just mine, but also several groups and the governments, nearly 30% of the maps now use both names. I'm saying this, Dokdo is a territorial issue. The EC is a naming issue. The two concepts may be different, but they are not necessarily separate. It's because if the sea is labeled as that of Japan, people would automatically think that the islets belong to Japan since they're in their waters. I believe that reclaiming the name of EC can also play a crucial role in resolving the Dokdo dispute. So I've been pushing for corrections in the New York Times, among other media giants, when they call the sea between Korea and Japan Sea of Japan. We've been promoting EC through various ads, and as a result, more and more influential media agencies seem to be using both names nowadays.
So like you said, the two are very closely tied together. Now we're talking about Korea's efforts to let the world know that Dokdo Islets belong to Korea. What about Japan? There's something called Takeshima Day, which is a sign that Tokyo is stepping up its efforts on their side to also lay territorial claims.
I've actually gone over to experience the so-called Takeshima Day. It was 3 or 4 years ago. I went with my college students, and we were shocked in many ways. We had only expected right-wing activists or the elderly to gather and hold a rally. But young Japanese, including many students, turned out, much to our surprise.
일본의 젊은 층 학생들도 굉장히 많이 그 행사에 참석했다는 그 자체가 굉장히 큰 충격이었고요. 특히
Also, a local prefecture came up with the idea.
그 안에서의 어떤 지방 소도시에서 일어나는 행사일 줄 알았는데
So we had thought it would be a small-scale event held in a small city of the Shimane prefecture, but it was nationally being advertised through major local media, including the Yomiuri.
작은 이 소도시에서 시작을 했지만 이제는 전국적으로 퍼져나갈 수 있도록 언론을 통해서 많이 전파되고 있구나라는 것들을
We realized then how an idea started in a small city can spread nationwide with help from the media. Also, Dokdo rice and Dokdo wine, or as the Japanese call it, jukdo, were offered on site. After seeing how they had developed literature and goods related to Dokdo, I thought to myself how low-key diplomacy may not be the best solution. It made sense not to stir trouble, since it is our territory. But seeing how Japan was acting, I realized that we should be more proactive.
Well, we're not staying passive. August 15th, we have a special event planned, actually. You and Kim Jang-hoon, again, the singer, will be taking part in this, and some of college students in Korea as well. Could you tell us about this event?
We've planned a major event for this August 15th. From August 13th through the 15th, we'll swim to Dokdo in a 220-kilometer relay with 40 swimmers from Korea National Sports University.
Well, it's really hot these days in Korea, so swimming may be a good thing. But let me ask you, Professor Seo, are you a good swimmer?
Well, what can I say? I swam a lot when I was young. But swimming in sea is different.
Right.
For the first time, I got myself a full body suit and flippers. And to train for the relay, I've signed up at a pool in my neighborhood.
So this kind of event, we see a lot of different campaign efforts, but a swimming event, kind of like a festival, a lighter atmosphere. What is the reason for this type of publicity effort? Is it because it gains more cultural attention, perhaps?
That's right. When we take out ads, we don't declare Dokdo as our territory. We simply say, visit Korea, and include a map of Korea. We show how our country boasts many beautiful islands. In the west, we have Ganghwa-do, and in the south, we have Jeju-do, while in the east, we have Ulleung-do. Our basic pitch is visit Korea and our beautiful islands. So we're planning to swim to Dokdo by August 15th to show the world that we can swim to the islets at will, since they are part of our territory. Our main goal is to naturally raise global awareness through a sporting event such as this.
And if you can swim it, it shows that the distance is closer, making it seem a little bit more that Dokdo is Korea's as well. I understand you also have plans for a Dokdo Culture Camp Foundation. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. Our most ambitious plan these days is to build Dokdo land along Seoul's-han River. Today, South Korea is looking at some 10 million visitors. Paris has its Eiffel Tower, while New York has its Statue of Liberty. We thought about what would be poignant for visitors to Seoul. That's when we thought about building a theme park as a natural way of showcasing Dokdo to the world. Costs incurred will be astronomical, so for transparency in terms of finances, we're setting up a foundation, and we're preparing to start work in earnest.
That's been your driving force. What are some future plans? What do you hope to accomplish?
Based on past experiences of promoting our culture and history in various forms of media, I've devised two key goals. First, it's related to Times Square in New York, arguably the world's most popular place, which is packed with global advertising billboards. we're working to set up the world's first South Korean ad board to promote our country by showing our ads 24/7 on Hangul, Hansik, and Dokdo. Secondly, we're hoping to produce a 30-second ad on South Korea to be aired during a U.S. Super Bowl break time, which is known to draw the world's biggest audiences in the shortest periods of time.
Those 30 seconds are some of the most coveted times in terms of at least U.S. marketing and U.S. Media attention, so I'm sure that would be a powerful way to spread Korea to the world. Thank you so much, Professor Seo, though, for sharing all of your expertise on this area. And I can't think of a more appropriate person to speak with in terms of spreading Korea and its beauty to the world.
Thank you for inviting me. When it comes to promoting our culture and history to the rest of the world, the most important thing is our continued interest and effort.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you again.